Yet.
Yeah, okay.
Good afternoon and welcome to another Even African Americans Ain't Africans, the talk show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't come to America by a way of ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One, and we're back to talk about the effects of the social experiment. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Redwolf.
For all them liberals out there. We own guns, people. It's called the Constitution. Hey, how's it going this evening, guys? Some places afternoons, others evening. Well, I wanted to touch on something. Last time was about sociology, and it still is. It's an experiment. Just like a lot of people call themselves black. Well, actually, there's no truth to that. Who in the history of mankind call themselves black until recent, the 21st century, or the 20th, very latter part of the 20th century? Only people that were ever called black, not in the new documents, but in the ancient literary, were by the Moors. And that's what they called them, pale skins, who before that were sand devils. Now, it's sad people don't understand this, but see, they were not so great in numbers, but they were able to influence people and influence people to do things that go against the credo. And that was part of social experiment, to be able to manipulate, to be able to maneuver. You know what I'm saying? So a book I've been reading is called Stigma, Notes on the Management of Spoiled Identity. I'm one that believes in the ego needs to be killed off. I have for a long time. But in order to do that, first we got to get rid of these fake emotions and these false feelings. And some people might state that's my opinion. No, I've been writing about this for a long time. So this is by Irving Goffman. This is pretty good. Now, I'm just going to touch on a few things in here, and we'll start right at page 1, stigma and social identity, and then we can go ahead and I can't see the questions if anybody decides to ask, but Carrie could relate. All right. Well, this is I don't take every single literary, everything that's literary that I read, I don't take it literal. There is so much more information out there. But when it comes to sociology, something I major in, and the psychology of it, which I don't even believe psychology is a real thing. It can be used to better understand things. But right here, stigma and social identity. Let's get right into it. The Greeks, who were apparently strong on visual aids, originated the term stigma to refer to bodily signs designed to expose something unusual and bad about the moral status of the signifier. Now, so you understand what the word stigma, and we use it with such complacent, let's say what's the word? Complacency. I was thinking about complacement, thinking about apartments and food. Anyway, complacency. And every time I hear somebody use the word, and I look at how they use it, I sit there and say to myself, what are we learning today? And then it goes on. The signs were cut or burnt into the body. Listen to that. The signs were cut or burnt into the body and advertised that the bearer was a slave, a criminal, or a traitor, a blemished person ritually polluted to be avoided, especially in public places. Now check this out in Christian times. 2 layers of metaphor were added to the term. This is during Christian times. The first referred to bodily signs of holy grace that took the form of eruptive blossoms on the skin. The second, and that is in lieu, which if people get all artistic with it, it means opposite of what actually means leprosy. All right. The second, a medical allusion. Listen to this. A medical allusion to this religious allusion referred to bodily signs of physical disorder. Now, who would state it? Now, who would state a medical allusion to this religious allusion? Referred to bodily signs of physical disorder. Come on. This has a whole lot to do with identity and how this applies and how things or people are easily manipulated. And the other part I wanted to get was in preliminary conceptions of it, so you can have a little more, understanding. Society establishes society. Well, does society really establish anything? We're an oligarch. The government's acting in tyrannical ways, and yet there's still some, I don't know if it's a smokescreen or calmness, where some things look like it might be okay, but that's the illusion. So anyway, society. I don't think society establishes nothing. First of all, the education system. Theodore Teddy Roosevelt, the Jew, he created that. So society establishes the means of categorizing persons and the complement of attributes felt to be ordinary and natural for members of each of these categories. Social settings establish the categories of persons likely to be encountered there. The routines of social intercourse in established settings allow us to deal with anticipated. That don't even sound right. Deal with anticipated others. Without special attention or thought. When a stranger comes into our presence, then first appearances are likely to enable us to anticipate his category and attributes. His social identity, which was created to use a term that is better than social status because personal attributes such as honesty are involved as well as structural ones. So if I call people of color, so-called black folks, thugs, numerous, we have numerous analogies. We have so many, we're called everything but something good by the media when bad things happen, except for right now. But like I said, they called us thugs, they called us predators. That was Trump. They called us all kinds of things. So that's how you make us bad. You see what I'm saying? And we have white supremacy, which is pushed by media, TV, however you want to look at movies, whatever, even books, Louis L'Amour and all that kind of stuff to establish themselves and tear us down. That's social engineering. Okay, anyway, to use a term that is better than social status because personal attributes such as honesty are involved as well as structural ones. That's all illusion, like occupation. Well, we know how that went, and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King spoke on that highly. We lean on these anticipations that we have, transforming them into normative expectations into righteously presented demands. Do you see where that went? We learn on these anticipations that we have, transforming them into normative expectations into righteously presented demands. This has to do with identity. We look at the war, and we look at I would say a little earlier than 1800, 1778, 1792. And a lot of our people started being called black. It wasn't happening before that. That did not happen. Don't let these Zionist publication syndicates, that put all this information out, what they will print and what they won't. No, you got to find that one lone wolf who will talk about the truth, who printed himself. So anyway, and this is just fact. It's all about identity. We need to know who we are. We look at back then, after the Civil War, and we looked at the transition and how so many things transitioned. First of all, the Ku Klux Klan wasn't what they are today. That was actually all kind of people under which cause to protect the South. But anyway, that's another story. The majority of you are Indians, just to make it blunt. But we have been dealing with a black experience and a social experiment. And I'm going to go through this as often as I can. And if you all have questions about anything I'm speaking, I'll have one more. Just go ahead and ask them. You know what I'm saying? Ask them. I've read this book a few times. I've highlighted all kind of stuff throughout this book, and it even gets into why people deny facts that are relevant to truth. You know what I'm saying? We could sit here all day and a whole bunch of people run around talking about reparations and we Hebrews and black and we're African Americans. But when you ask them, have you done your family's genealogy? Have you went to where they were first or last known to live? Did you find out if maybe a couple of your grandparents a couple ago or adopted? I mean, did you take the time to learn anything? And the majority of the time, they don't say anything. They won't answer, or they'll go off into the DNA trip or this, that, and the other, whatever.
Let me ask you a question on that real quick, because
Yeah.
you're really right about that. When you what you just said, when you ask these questions,
Yeah.
Can you hear me? When you ask these questions, you can't even have a conversation. The conversation, when you ask a question, they won't even answer the question. They'll just go right over it, cuss you out, come up with some other bullshit, but they never speak directly to your question.
Exactly.
Explain.
That is part of the social setting from which the circle they're in. Most trolls. Let's use trolls for instance. Most of them are kind of connected, and they do be in their rooms in the library, and in the basement, however you want to, in the attic, and they literally go out there and create these computer savvy motherfuckers. They go out there and create accounts and go in different groups and stare up. It doesn't matter to them. You know what I'm saying? That circle right there is a social setting. They all able to find each other because there's plenty of them. Just like there's plenty of dumb white supremacists and Negroes calling themselves black and everything else other than what they are. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And that's why I wanted to get into this part right here. As far as the term stigma. The term stigma. All right, let's go in. The term stigma then will be used to refer to an attribute that is deeply discrediting black. Something we are not, but they know it is because it was discrediting to them. The Moors laughed at them. But it should be seen that a language of relationships, not attributes, is really needed. Okay, an attribute that stigmatizes one type of possessor can confirm the usefulness of another, and therefore is neither credible nor discreditable as a thing in itself. Damn, that's pretty deep. I mean, that's talking about us in a whole, how they played us. I mean, all right. For example, some jobs in America cause holders, all right, without the expected college education to conceal this fact. Other jobs, however, can lead the few of their holders who have a higher education to keep this a secret. Karina, us being the indigenous ones or the aboriginals, lest they be marked as failures and outsiders. Similarly, failures and marked. Okay? Marked is something you do in a transaction. Now, I'm not going to go into birth, death certificates and birth certificates and all that and license, but all that's basically true, what you've heard. All right? So, it can lead the few of their holders who have a higher education to keep this a secret, lest they be marked as failures and outsiders. Outsiders, a lot of our people becoming them all of a sudden. Similarly, a middle-class boy may feel no compunction in being seen going to the library. A professional criminal, however, writes. This is what the professional criminal writes. I can remember before now, on more than one occasion, for instance, going into a public library near where I was living and looking over my shoulder a couple of times before I actually went in, just to make sure no one who knew me was standing about and seeing me do it. Checking the 6. The circle of how he lived, the criminals, the people he hung with, even though he wasn't going to rob the library, instinct, just learned behavior. Social experiment is for real. Everybody, I know plenty of people seen that experiment where they take the convicts and they change places with the COs, and they have plenty of footage they could not show. I mean, some real bad shit, that I saw not on the dark web, but on the dark site. And I was like, holy shit, and so they know they paid very well. But this is what I'm talking about. As far as our identities, who we are as a people, culturally, do you know that we see a lot of things going on around us and we always lose favor? Right now, breakdancing, we created it, us and all that. I hate calling them Latin, but our Latin brothers and sisters, right? We created hip hop. I remember back in New York, Twin City breakdancer here, back in the late 70s, early 80s. You know, Kiriaki, Ken Swift, Crazy Legs, Zone, all of them, doing it. We created that. But today, who are some of the top performers? Korea, Russia, Brazil's making a head up, and New York's, here in America, got a few up and comers, but it was never the case. How did we lose out? The crack epidemic. They always establish something to push us kind of away, give us another focus and direction. This is a social experiment, people, and it works, and that's why they do what they do. They're able to manipulate us, okay? And there's still people breakdancing. It's evolving, but the majority of good it would have done in a whole have now shifted off, or in the graves, locked up in prison, or somewhere in hiding, raising a family. Or like myself, being honest, sharing my history. All part of a social experiment. And the thing is, we don't pay attention right now. Karina, this pandemic, it's another curveball. And people aren't paying attention to it. It takes the focus off of us. It puts the focus somewhere else. And some of us hold on to it because we know the importance and we see the smoke screen. It's not going to change until the rest of y'all clear the smoke out of your face and know it never has to be there again. You don't have to have that little monkey. You don't have to be the cannon fodder. You know what I'm saying? In a cannon, coming out of a cannon. Understand the social experiment, understand the Black experience, take them and use them to the best without seeking worldly monetary gains. Take them and hold them accountable for the lies, the treason, the treachery. Okay? And then you can clown on them saying, wow, y'all supposed to be so well educated and smart. But it is, though, as you work with fear and tactics of somebody delusional and psychopathic. That's how you got to hit them on Twitter and everywhere. You got to cut through what they're talking about and throw it in without cursing them out and wishing death on the pigs and all the other stupid shit. That's the dumbest stuff in the world to do. It's one thing to be angry. I'm angry all the time. But it's another thing to know what to be angry at and what to have rage for. And to always seek peace within self. That way you can commit yourself to this and understanding the things that divide, the things that put people in certain positions, the things that allow this one to eat this and this one to eat that, the thing that allows this one to have to walk and this one to have to drive. You need to understand, and yet the illusion of, oh, everybody can have it, without knowing the structure and the foundation and the structure of the system we are in. And that you can do by understanding that it has always been a social experience. And for us, the original people, a Black experience.
Rainstorm asked, so does that mean we just stay honorable ourselves?
That's the first thing we need to learn how to do. But no, to ourselves, we need to grow as a people in unity. How can we have anything else if we can't socialize as one? So we have so much interference, cannon fodder, I just mentioned this, and stuff like that, where we won't address the dead dog in the room. We'll just keep smelling it, looking over at it, and wonder who's going to be the first to say something. I'm here to express to you, know who you are. Don't fake it to make it. Believe and know who you are. Put a little bit of work, a little effort in the work you do to further, because there's still information. They haven't destroyed everything. All the Renaissance book burnings, our history and all that, they didn't get rid of enough. The last of our history when Abraham Lincoln and Nicholas Tsar, the Tsar family, in the same week. The Zionists got rid of them. People don't like the truth. But the truth, that pain is what we need, so we can break free of it and see everything, see the lighter side. You know what I'm saying? Look at everything in a social view and understand it to be an experiment. To know that there's no way you are part of it. I don't care if you sit up in a cave for the rest of your life. You're in that cave because you're trying to get away from what's going on outside. So therefore you're affected. So anyway, we've got to raise our awareness to the point of self-awareness first. And then be so not humble, but humbled. Then that way, when we go to our brothers and our sisters, our our family, it will be without any angst, envy, or any of those designer drugs out there for the physical and spiritual destruction. How's that?
That's that. Brother, I know
Yes,
I know you was going to get so much. I'm just glad you had to share a couple of moments with us.
Oh yeah, no, of course. We can always do it. Take two. I've got so much I can read from that. It's just amazing.
So can we get you in next week sometime?
You definitely can. Definitely can.
Okay, chat. Tune
I
in.
didn't even blaze for this one. I was like, I was gonna blaze, but I was like, no. All right. I'm hungry.
No, I know you're hungry, but I just wanted you. You said Wednesday, so I wanted to get it in.
Yes, sir. No, I did not forget. I was sitting there. I picked up the phone to see it. I was getting ready to send your message. What time you want to do this?
I appreciate you, brother. And we're gonna be looking next time for those spiritual drugs that you told us about that we get caught on.
Oh, I like what Rainstorm says. Stay in honor, in other words. You know what honor is? What I talked about last week? It is balance, which is the reciprocator of harmony. That's all it is. That one thing that has no explanation. That thing, that strand that always held everything together. See, what we're dealing with has labels because it's what's destroying everything. But beautiful statement. Question statement, I believe that to be. Stay in honor, in other words. So yes. So it's statement with a question, which is beautiful. Well put. I cannot express that any further than that. I mean, harmony and balance is what honor is. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, to simplify, there's a few other words that you put in the same boat. Something that doesn't have no explanation because it is. I am. They created this world. This is a social experiment where we have to have all these labels. No, we probably walked the earth and knew the names of everything that was already named in creation, as far as our creation story. You know what I'm saying? And was no need because everybody was commutable. Everybody just did their thing. There was no hunting and killing and all that shit. This ain't no Adam and Eve type story. This is a story of origin. That peace that existed. See, these things right now like this disruption because they believe they're going to destroy and make the world in their image. Has anybody been paying attention? And they have many means to do so, but it's arduous. They've given all these wars to see the little bullshit weapons. Oh no, they've got our ancient shit. All right, weapons are not new, people. Do not let this fake history and this fake world they've created be your tomb or your entombment. Do not. Ex-military here, I have no problem saying it. Early retired Navy, ordnance, that's it. No glory seeking, no anything. I just know what the fuck I did and where I worked at, what I heard and what I saw. And how often I knew to stay quiet, keep my mouth shut. Young, But it's a social experiment, and until you realize it, you'll stop looking at everything the same. There are more people here in Africa, from Africa. This is what I don't get. Check out how deep this experiment, how loose it is. there are so many Africans here that if it's so bad for us, why the fuck are you here? And if we're over there, and we're from there, and we came here, then why do the Africans treat us different, call us caca and all this, that, and other? See, I have nothing against Africans. I got some African brothers, man, who are tight. I mean, I give my life for them. They definitely give their life for me. This is a known fact. But I know those who I know don't call themselves African, don't even recognize that word. They say that's some new shit. It's all you mix or non-mixed, no tribe having raised somewhere else, English, European ideology and narratives given by the Dutch, French, and Portuguese, and Spaniards, even the Chinese. That's who you are. You're children of them, because your history is theirs, and it's bullshit. Now, my African brothers and sisters that know their traditions and everything else, and know where they originally come from, those are the gatekeepers of truth, and there ain't that many of them. Because see, the Renaissance was about destroying all that. Man, y'all think these wars are something. Man. Yeah, we don't know. We don't even know. I would say, I believe we know just a little over a quarter of all the atrocities and spoken wars. But we don't know the truth about the betrayal, the turnaround, how quick they flip, and why. And nobody will address that because they're still stuck in the social experiment instead of utilizing it to the best of their ability.
Questions? No, LL Lewis, you're not the only one feeling it's glitchy. It's been glitchy for the last couple of days because, like the brother said, this is a social experiment.
Exactly.
See, and one time soon, you're not going to have nobody here giving you information because like this brother did, like I did, nobody gave us the information. We had to go scratching and sniffing for it. Many of us, we don't want to do that. It takes too much time. I might mess up my suit. I might get my hair wet. All those other social experiments, and we won't go out and dig for it. So the few brothers that go out and dig for it, we share it when we can, because most people don't want to hear it. Most people, like the brother said earlier, we don't want to hear the truth. We want to hear all that glitter and gold shit so we can forget about what we're doing or what we're in, this social experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So I bring this brother on because he knows a whole bunch of simple stuff. That he's that string that he talked about earlier, that everything rides on, that hooks everything together. This is one of those brothers. So that's why I have him come share with you.
And look, y'all need to learn how to use these and stop the bullshit that I keep seeing on YouTube and all my buddies and stuff that have channels. Because a lot of y'all are just looking real fucking stupid. I mean, anybody can kill anybody, but that's not what life is about. And the kids who run around caught up in that, that's part of the social experiment. And that's even based, the social experiment is not excluding chemical dousing, water, food, air. It's not excluding that. All the factors, what's in your clothes, the dyes. China was willfully, because some old ladies were probably long dead now, 25, 30 years ago, started testing stuff. And their kids started saying, we're finding a lot of lead in these toys, and we're finding a lot of lead in the paint used on the dyes for these clothes, and we're just absorbing the stuff in our body, making us docile and dumbed down. And argue with each other like we're retarded, like the fuck about nothing.
About nothing.
Pussy, nothing. Dick, nothing. Car, home, nothing. If you didn't get insurance on it, you shouldn't have had it. Social experiment. When you realize that's what you're in and you start approaching it from that mark, that's why they're ramping all the things up they're doing, because they know that this stuff has been divulged, and is going to continue to be divulged to the masses. Now we're still going to have the idiots who come who believe in a little fake world and all that, and the racists and all that stuff. So what? Because they don't even know have the truth of the shit they did. That was done to them. Yeah, I just looked at myself, saw my hair looking like all kind of buckwheats. But anyway, A lot of them, they got, you know, when they were hanging a lot of our people down south, they were hanging plenty of pale skins and Spaniards right along and Chinese right alongside us. Plenty. But certain Boule Negroes decided to go another route and make it public. Well, if it was so public and the information was so raw, why are we still giving Israel with these fucking millions or billions or whatever dollars every year? Well, we didn't create the Holocaust. So nobody's paying attention to the simple thing because the social experiment has them so the curveballs, so misfocused, and will never seek to find out who they are, but profess what lies tell you. And that's all skin folk and kinfolk. I mean, a lot of us should know this by now. But anyway, and those who accepted history as it is, those are the people you need to stay away from. Those are not the dreamers nor the thinkers.
We have a Facebook user asking, can you speak on the Flint water crisis?
You know the mayor. What was the mayor's name? Because you know I follow our sister, our boxer, wonderful. The new goat. What was that mayor's name? Anyway, you know they had a water treatment power plant. There was nothing wrong with it. He disconnected. He turned it off. From what I learned. Now, has it changed? And that wasn't on no Reddit or anything like that. That was New York Post, something like that. A small article. Now, what's funny is the mayors they've had succession have not done anything to better the water there. It's not just, hey, check this out. It's not just Flint, Michigan.
I bet it's the whole Eastern Seaboard.
And even over here, the reservation water that comes from if they run, instead of letting it run clean all the way down and pump it, they run it through a chemical plant, you know, a water treatment facility. There's some of the Navajo guys I talked to who worked there who started at one time they were boycotting it. Remember they used to have to dump bags of all kind of shit into the water as being treated before it become potable or drinkable here. I'm talking about crazy. He couldn't believe it. You know, for 4 days they stopped, and you can hear people talking about, oh, the water tastes so good. The social experiment we're living in, everything is fucked up. Everything, the food. Look at this. We call ourselves Aboriginals, but we love chicken, beef, and pig. Fuck, and none of them from here. All three of those are hybrids. We want to call ourselves Aboriginals, talking about, yeah, we're going to barbecue. And first thing y'all start slapping on the grill is chicken and beef and shit. And then you turn around talking about hey, you got some ham or hog and some ribs over there.
Man, you better have them.
Y'all don't understand why your ass is dying so motherfucking, and hypertension and everything. I said, well, when are people going to start thinking? See, that's the whole thing with the chemical downsing. Social experiment. It's got you so distracted, you'll never afford the time to pay attention to self. So that's why we need to continue doing things like this. So you will take the time to make time for yourself. And I ain't talking about because you don't like your wife or you don't like your old man. I need some time to myself. No excuse. Y'all need to clean that up right then and there. Find time for your motherfucking self. For real, for real. I mean, meditate and all that. And I don't care if you don't know how to. Close your eyes for 5 or 10 minutes in silence with quiet and allow yourself to see and think whatever comes to your mind, and just keep doing it until you start seeing nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Red Wolf. He'll be back next week. So if you have questions for him, write them down so you can remember. Because not only does he want to answer them, I want to hear them. So, brother, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next week.
Talane.
Cool. Chat, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week. The information, what he's saying, everything is right in front of you guys. You really can't ask no more questions. It's right in front of you. Questions that can be answered. The stuff that I'm saying has been said continuously for the past 200 years. Unfortunately, we don't listen because it's a part of that social experiment that he's talking about. we're really not into listening. We like all those drugs, and drugs is TV, drugs is church, drugs is shoes, drugs is tennis shoes, wigs, all this stuff that we don't even need in life, that we spend a lifetime chasing. We wasting a lot of time. So we're gonna finish on the social experience next week, the social experiment next week. And that's when we'll see you. Peace.